Okay, so hello everybody, welcome back to the session which is lecture number 53, and today we are going to continue with JS Hoisting and Strict Mode. Just first let me check if I'm live. Just one second guys. Okay, perfect. So I'm live. Hello everybody, welcome back. And first of all, so sorry because from last 4 days I think no video has come up from my side. So that was because I was not well, right? And I hope you can understand. So sorry for that, but soon I'll be coming up with more videos in 1 day or 2 days, so that I'll cover it up, right? And you guys will have much more syllabus and you can cover it up in your home whenever you're free, right? So that's what we are going to do. That's how I have planned it. And yes, let's get started with today's video. Hi Jitendra, welcome back. I hope you guys are not angry on me. So the reason I have already told you in the beginning of this session. So today in this session, we are coming up with a new topic, which is hosting and strict mode. Not only that, we are going to also learn about the errors and exceptions handling, right, in JavaScript. So that's what we are going to cover in this session. And at night also we are covering CSS because now I'm feeling well. So I'll cover two more sessions on night for CSS for media query, and one more was there, media query and flexbox. Okay, so these are the things which we are going to cover. Now if you guys are new and you do not know what is happening, let me tell you about it. This is basically a playlist which CodeBeyond channel is creating. We are from Unacademy and we are providing this content for free. This is for front-end development. So front-end playlist is already there in the channel. If you have not seen it, go through it and have a look what all videos are there. Already 52 videos are there, and I am creating some more so that I can cover up all the core and advanced syllabus of JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Okay, HTML, CSS is mostly cover. It's in the finish, so in the end. So I'm completing JS, and soon we are going to start with Bootstrap. Plan will be same as it is. I've already told the plan in the previous sessions also. So plan will not change. We will stick to that. It's just that the videos will come a little bit slow now because 4 days we had a gap. Cool. So let's go ahead and let me introduce myself. If you do not know about me, so my name is Ritwik Raj and I'm a corporate trainer. I've also worked as a subject matter expert in most of the edtech companies. I have 3+ years of teaching experience and I've trained graduates and corporate employees from Edison and Capgemini. I've trained more than 30 students till now, and it is increasing day by day. The subjects which I take is mostly into front-end development, back-end languages, database languages, interview preparation tips, and how to crack interviews, virtual or face-to-face, both. So that's all about myself, and let me tell you more about this code which you can use, which you can see here. You can use my code RIT10 to get a free level sample test paper, right? And what is a Relevel? If you do not know, then just wait for 1 minute. I'm going to tell you that. Jitender, if you're there, then please let me know if you can hear me. I hope I am audible clearly because I've done some changes in my audio. So I don't know if you guys can hear me clearly. If yes, then please anybody, you can just respond that you guys can hear me clearly. Okay, fine. So let's get started now. In this Relevel, I'll explain about this Relevel. If you already know about Relevel, then you can use this code, which is RIT10, right? And you can get a free level sample test paper so that you get an idea which kind of questions can be asked in the actual test paper. And what is Relevel? So let me tell you about it. The reason of opening this particular product, which is Relevel, is basically that candidates miss out a great opportunity due to multiple reasons, right? Maybe they don't have a better degree or a poor network, or maybe their resume doesn't stand out. Maybe they have done some other degree such as BSc, BCom or BCA, something like that, and they want to jump to IT sector, IT field, right? But when they are applying to 50, 60 companies, nobody is giving them a call because they have a different degree, or maybe they don't have knowledge. That's how they think, right? The companies think. But here in Relevel, it is India's first test hiring platform by Unacademy, which is helping job seekers find their dream jobs. You can get a job on the basis of skill and talent. Okay, so only on the basis of skill and talent, we are going to judge you. How we are going to judge you? By only skill and talent? You have to give a free test. Again, I'm repeating, this is a free test which you can give, and you can choose the date on your own, and you can choose the skill test on your own. Over 50 plus companies, including top startups and unicorns, are there with us. So once you will score more than 700 out of 1000, then you are going to get eligible for the profile. We are going to create a profile and we are going to share it with all the multinational companies so that you can hired. Now, if suppose you are scoring below 700, no problem. After 30 days, you can again reattempt the test for free, right? Okay. Let's move ahead and let's see what you have to do to register yourself in Relevel. Now, if you can find in the description, the video description, you can find the Relevel link. You can click on it and you can go ahead and give a mobile number and then you can get the OTP. Once you do those all things, then you're going to get this page. Here you need to choose your test which you want to give. Suppose you are very good in business development. Suppose you are very good in backend development. Choose that and then move to booking a slot. So you need to book a slot when you want to give the level test. Slots are limited, so I suggest you to book it fast. Okay. Once you choose the slot, here you can fill in all the details for the admit card and you can select the gender. After that, you have to put down the code. The code is RIT10. Do not forget it. Once you click on apply, you will be able to get the sample paper. So your account will be created and your sample paper will look something like this. Now you can have an idea which kind of questions can be asked in the actual test, which is of 1000 marks, and you'll be in a much better position to crack the test, right? Now, if you have already registered for it, then all the best for the exam. If you have already given the test and you have failed it, no problem. Try again after 30 days. If you do not know about it, then go ahead and register for it right now and use the code. Suppose if you are not ready for the test, then go ahead and watch all the playlist which is going on right now from other different faculties and trainers and educators who are actually teaching different live sessions, right? So go ahead and upskill yourself, and then when you're ready, come back and register for a level, right? So join the Telegram channel, because in this channel we are providing all the notifications when which particular educator is coming live. All the notifications you will get here. So some days, suppose I'm not coming live, like the before 4 days I was not coming live, so you must have not got any notification, right? So you must be knowing, okay, today there's no session, right? But today I took one, so you must have got some notification. So please join the Telegram channel for that, and also please subscribe the YouTube channel which is CodeBeyond, and also like and share this video. Okay, great. Let's get started with today's session. So I know the topic name is Hoisting and Strict Mode because those are the two most important sessions which we need to cover up, right? Because those two topics are the most likely topic of being asked in interviews, right? So here we are getting started with the exceptions, or we also say it as errors. These are not same, first of all. So let me tell you first that. So we are going to start with exception and errors, right? So I hope you can see my Visual Studio Code. Now, this is basically what is exception, what is error. Let me give you an example by using an example. Before that, I want to show you the code. So you can see Visual Studio Code is open and we have the text and font.html some file. We have this particular folder where we have all the projects and all which we have created during this particular sessions which we have taken. So if somebody is following me from the starting, they must be knowing what are these files and folders, right? And let me show you the browser also. So you can see here there's a browser open here where we will be able to see our all the code outputs and all, okay, in this browser. So I just wanted to show you these all things, and now let me get started with the explanation of what is an exception. Okay, now please listen to this carefully, and this is kind of a story which I've created for you guys so that you can understand what is an exception. Now in Java also, there is an exception topic. If you do not know Java, there's no problem. If you know C and C++, there was nothing called as exception or something like that. But in Java, there is exception topic. And if you have already known about it, then all the best. You know about it and you can skip this. But in JavaScript, there's no different method. It's the same. How do you write it in Java is the same. But suppose if you do not know Java and you do not have any idea what is exception, then let me give you an example for it. Hi Lucifer, hi bro, how are you? Will you please arrange all your videos in a playlist in correct order, as there are some videos seems missing? arranging all the videos, I think all the videos are arranged in a proper manner, like the numberings are correct, right? From L1 to L52. I just checked it today itself. And I think one video is missing, which is L36. And don't worry, it is just removed uh, because because of some issue, and it will be resolved. Once it will be resolved, it will be back. So yes, one video is missing, and I'm trying my best to get it back. So don't worry about that. It is in private now. But yeah, soon it will be back. So don't worry about that. Once it will be back, I will update that in my live session whenever I'll take it. Okay. So that you will be informed about it. So don't worry about it. Right now, I think the L36 is mostly in table-based layout project 1, right? So L37 is table-based layout project 2. So please don't watch L37 if L36 is not there, because L37 is basically the continuation of L36. So if there is no L36, leave L37 also, and you can move ahead to L38. Okay. Once L36 will come, I'll update that in my live sessions, and then you can go ahead and watch L36 and L37. Let me check about this, which you're asking, L54 and 55. So Lucifer, L54 and L55 will be coming live today at night. Okay. Basically, L53 is the session which is going on right now. So that's why L54 and L55 is at the end, which is today. Once again. Yeah, today night. Okay. So don't worry about that. Everything is there. No problem. That's all fine. Right. So I was going to tell you a story about an exception. So see, exception is a very, very interesting topic. Okay. Now, what is it? Let me tell you. Now, just imagine that you're walking, in a street, right? And you're just walking, and one bicycle was coming from in front of you, and you did not observe, and he also did not observe you, and you both had a, collapse. So an accident happened, right? An accident occurred. Now you got a wound in your knee, okay, and you're bleeding. You cannot walk further. So maybe you were going to your home, right? And in between something happened to you, and you got a wound, right? And now you can't walk further. So you're not reaching to your destination, right? Something has stopped you, correct? So suppose that you're writing a program. Let's come to the programming world. You're writing a program, and you're writing some 5 statements, right? Statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, statement 4, statement 5. 5 statements you're printing. Statement 1 got printed, statement 2 got printed, statement 3 you got some error. Okay, some error, some thing happened, and you got the error, right? Now because of that error, statement 4 and statement 5 is not getting executed. Why? Because the program got stopped there. The execution got stopped there. Okay. So what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that once you're walking and you want to reach in your destination, in between something happened to you and you got stopped. Because of that, you are not being able to reach to your destination, right? Same thing happened to my code. But is this good? Someday you will reach to your destination, right? After 2 hours, after 3 hours, you have to reach to your destination. So what do? Your friends will bring first aid for you, and you will band-aid your wound. And once your bleeding will stop, you'll be able to at least walk through one leg, right? And then you will be able to slowly reach your destination, correct? So what made you reach to your home? That bandage, right? What did you do there? You actually resolved your problem. Or maybe I can say that you handled your exception. I can say that you handled your wound, so that at least you can go to your home, so that you can take care of yourself, right? So same thing happens in coding also. So when statement 3 is giving me some error, what I should do? I should do some bandage there. I should correct it. I should handle it, so that statement 4 and statement 5 should not get into a problematic situation. Those statements should also execute. Okay. So we need to make something, we need to do something to bandage our statement 3, so that next statements can be executed. And this is what is called as exception. Okay. So the error which is occurring without knowing the fact that it will happen, that is exception. Okay. And once it happens, it can be handled. It can be taken care of. It is not a very big mistake or a very big error. It can be handled. Okay, that is what is called as exception handling. Okay, now the fact here is there's a difference between errors and exceptions. Okay, now exceptions are something which can be handled, right? Errors errors can be corrected. You are not handling. Okay, let me clear it out. Understand, when you got a wound, right, you are bandaging it, right? So it's not healing it then and there, right? Your wound is not getting healed by just a bandage then and there. It's not like the blood is not there and it just vanishes, right? Not even a cut is there. It can't happen like that, right? Maybe it will take some 1 week to cover up, correct, or to clear that wound, right? So for that time, for that period of time, it is just getting handled, correct? It's just getting handled, right? So that is what is called as handling. But suppose, what is an error? Let's say you are just cutting a vegetable and you just got one tiny cut in your finger. The next day it won't be there, that cut won't be there. It is just a tiny needle kind of cut, it won't be there. So that is the correction, right? It got corrected. There's nothing, not even a mark in your finger, right? That is what is correction. The one is handling, so that problem is not residing there, and one is correcting the problem, so it's automatically corrected, right? So errors are something which can be corrected, such like semicolons. If you're missing out a semicolon in your program, you can put it, right? You can correct it. You're not handling, you're correcting it, right? So that is what is the difference between errors and exceptions. If you have understood this difference, then we are going to go ahead and we will move to our coding part. If you have not understand, then please do let me know in the live chat that I have not understood this particular thing. Okay, so let me tell you about, please tell me about it. Give me a thumbs up if you have understood the example, and if you like the example, if you have clearly understood what is that, and then we'll move to our programs. So I'm just going to create a folder here. 1 second. So I'm just going to create here, let's say, exceptions, right? This is my folder. I'm going to open it. I'm going to create a file. Let's say index.html. Okay. Cool. Perfect. So yes, thanks for the response, and let's get started with the examples. Okay. Now, first of all, let me just write some statements so that something I can see in my browser. So understanding exceptions. People do say it as exception. People do say it as errors sometimes. So don't worry. Do not get mistaken. Okay. In some tutorials, people may say that this is an error. People may say that this is called as an exception. Still there is confusion. Don't worry about that. In Java, it is very clear that exception is something else, errors is something else, but in JavaScript, it's all the same. So don't worry about it. In fact, we always call in JavaScript these things as errors, okay? Because these are not divided in JavaScript. In Java, it's divided. Exception, error. But in JavaScript, it's nothing like that. Exception, errors are all same. And inside exception, we have syntax errors. Okay, so don't get confused between these two. I just explained the difference between these two because in Java, this explanation will be given to you. Okay, but in JavaScript, it's very normal. Both the things are same. So understanding exceptions, I'll just write here /errors. Okay, and in the body, I'm going to create a script tag, and here I'm going to write some of the programs. So let's say, am I writing a demo? Okay. Approximately how many days JavaScript might take to complete, bro? 1 week. 1 week is what I'm looking into. 4 days we have skipped some of the lessons. So adding to that, maybe Saturday, Sunday, I will take sessions the whole day. right? I'll be taking the sessions the whole day. So I think 1 week will be fine, right? Maybe by Monday, the next Monday. Okay, so that is what is my plan. Let's see uh, if I can bring all the videos. Okay, so script. Now in this script, I'll be writing, let's say I'm just writing an alert. Okay, and you know what is an alert. So let's say that I'm just writing hello here. Okay, you know what is alert. So this will work. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, let's close this. Let's save it. And let me open my browser. Guys, this session will be going beyond 1 hour. Okay, so do not be thinking that I'm taking more than 1 hour. And you can see that it is giving me an alert, right? So I'm just clicking on OK, nothing is getting printed, so it's working fine. But let's say that I think maybe this code will throw an error. I have a doubt that maybe this particular code can throw an error, right? And let's say that I have a different alert here. Okay, and maybe I'm writing here, welcome to JavaScript, right? Welcome to JavaScript. Okay, what's gonna happen? Again, the same alert will come, but a second time. So let's see it once. So hello, and then I'm getting welcome to JavaScript. Okay, fine, it is working well. Now suppose that if I think this is giving me an error, right? This is giving me an error. Let's say I'm thinking what I'm going to do, I'm writing double A. Now you know that double A alert is nothing, right? It's nothing, it's not a function. Alert is a function which can do something in JavaScript, but double ALRT will not do anything. So let's go back to my browser and let's save this. Anything is happening? Nothing is happening here, right? Why? Because I've done some error. I know I've done some mistake and that's why it is not working. But do you remember I've done mistake in only this line, not in this line? If error is happening, it should give me an error only this line. Why this is not working? That is what I was trying to explain you, that when you're walking, you walked a half distance and you then got an exception, and that is the reason the next steps you're not being able to take to reach to the destination, right? So to complete this whole code execution, it is getting stopped here itself. It got a wound, it got an exception here itself. That's why this is not getting printed. And don't you think this line will feel bad that I am not getting executed because of this code? So in this case, what we have to do, we have to bandage this. We have to bandage the situation. We have to bandage the exception. We have to do something here. So how we bandage our wound? We apply the bandage. We know which cream we will use, what things can we use there to solve that particular problem, right? Same thing we do it here. We have something called as try and catch. Okay, so what is try and what is catch? Let me tell you about it. Now try is a block of a statement inside which you write those statements which you think can give an error. Okay, so you thought that okay, this sentence can give me an error, and I think that yes, this is a sentence which will give me an error, so I'm gonna put this inside try block. Okay, now I'm going to catch it. Bro, post JavaScript, please give us practice problems and projects on it. I have already planned about it. It's already in the track. It's just that it took me time to explain the theory concepts. Okay, don't worry, everything is there. Soon I'm going to cover with it. I'm going to come up with HTML CSS interview questions for 2 hours. So that is also on there. JavaScript interview question, that is also there. So don't worry, everything is there. Okay, so for catch, now what is catch? Catch is basically to handle the exception. Okay, we know where is the exception. We know that exception is here, right? Okay, we know exception is here, but this won't do anything. We need to print something instead of this, because this is not gonna work. This is not gonna give me any output. So instead of that, we need to do something. We need to write something, or we need to print something. So what we are going to do, we are going to do document dot get element by id demo dot inner HTML equal to, now here what I'm going to do, understand that I am writing this statement. Now catch is having one property which is ERR, right? So this is the parameter which is an ERR. Now this is a particular object which I have created of this catch method. Now this particular object will print the message looking at the error. So what is the error here? We do not know, okay? We don't know what is the error here. We just know that double ALRT is nothing, right? So I'm just printing a message there so that exception will be handled and this particular statement can get executed. I'm just going to close this. So what are we doing here? We are handling an exception so that this particular statement can get executed. So let's go back to our browser. Let's save this. So you can see here, it is giving me an output which is saying welcome to JavaScript, right? And if you see here, welcome to JavaScript is this statement, right? So what's going to happen if I click on OK? When I'm clicking on OK, it is giving me a message which is double A alert is not defined, right? Now, why is it, once again, if you can't see, let me zoom it. It says double A alert is not defined. Have I written this statement anywhere? Have I said it to write this thing? No, right? In my code, I have not said this. I've just told err.message. So basically what is happening, JavaScript understood there is an error. JavaScript understood that what is the error. JavaScript understood that user wants me to print a message for that error. So if JavaScript knows about the error and he knows what is the error, he knows what is the message to be printed. And I just created an object and I just wrote dot message. It printed me that particular error. Cool. Now this error can be anything. Not only this, there are so many exceptions which can occur. It's not like only because of your wound you are not being able to reach to your destination, right? It can be anything. Maybe you are in your bicycle and tire punctured. Maybe something else. Reasons can be anything, right? So that's how here also exception can be anything. Okay, so that's what we are going to learn next. Any doubts till now? Any doubts still here? If no, then let's move ahead and let's learn something else. Okay, let's get into something else. Okay, so we have something called as throw. Okay, so we have try, we have catch, now we have throw. Now what is this throw? Now here what was happening, here basically what was happening is that I was not confirmed whether this will throw me an exception. Okay, I was just little bit confused that maybe this particular line is giving me an error or maybe this line is giving me an exception. So that was my thinking, that was my confusion. So what I did, I bandaged it. I tried, I used the block statement of try and then I handled the exception using an catch block, right? And it's working fine. What is throw? Throw you have to use when you're very sure and confident about an exception. You know that in this code an exception is there and you need to throw it. You do not need to apply try and catch there because you already know that this is an exception, so you just throw it, right? But you are going to ask me, because you guys are beginners, you don't have any experience in coding field or in a software company, so you can ask me like, how dumb is this, right? Like you are saying that you already know what is the exception and then you're throwing it. Why you're writing such a code? Why you're writing such an exceptional code, right? When you know there's an error, correct it. When you know there's an error, don't write that code. Why are you throwing it, right? Why there's a need of try, catch and throw when you know that there is an exception? Now the reason being is the codes can be from anybody. It's not like you are writing a code or you can get a code from your client and maybe it's not working, so you need to check it. So we check it by using try, catch, throw. we check it by try catch throw. We look at it single code, that which particular code is not running. And suppose that code is not running, you apply the bandage, you apply the try catch, you get to know that this code is not running, right? So that's where we use it. Throw is used in many places. Let me show you one of the example where it can be used. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm just going to take input ID, let's say samp, and here I'm going to take type text. So I'm just, you know what is input. So it's just giving me a text box, right? That's what it is providing me. The next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a button, right? And I'm going to just take here type button. Here I'm going to write on click. You already know what is JavaScript. You have worked with JavaScript. Some of the projects also we have done. So you know how function works here. So I'm just going to write here ready. This is the function which I am calling out. Okay. So this is the, wait a second. Let's say this is the function name, on click ready exec. Okay. This is the function name which should get run once the button will be pressed. So what I'm going to do here, let's check. Okay, this is the button name which I've given. And the next thing what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just give a paragraph and I'm going to give it an ID. Let's say I'm giving here it as demo. Fine. So three things are there. I have one, I hope you can see my code, right? So I have one text box, I have one button, and I have one paragraph, right? So let's see what's happening. 1 second, let me comment this out. We don't need this. Let's comment it out. Let's save it now. Okay. 1 second again. Yep. Right. So you can see there's an input box. There's the let's check button, right? This is what we have done till now. We have not written any JavaScript code till now. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write some of the JavaScript code. So let's have a look. What is it? So I'm going to write function. The function name, you already know what is it. What is it? Ready execute, right? So this is the function which I'm creating. And here I'm going to just take, let's say, var message, right, equal to document dot get element by ID. The ID name is demo. So whatever you will, whatever thing or the content will come in the paragraph, that's gonna go to the message. That's what I've written. And here I'm going to write message dot inner HTML equal to empty. Okay. So every time any particular content will be there in the paragraph, it's gonna give me a space. It's gonna be empty. Okay. That's what I've written. Next, what I'm going to do, let x equal to, I'm going to write document dot get element by ID. Here I'm going to write down the ID name of text box. So it's Sam. Okay. And I'm going to put down value. Now this also, you know, because you have done one to-do list project. So you must be knowing what is dot value, right? Dot value will get the value, whatever is there in the input box. So suppose if I'm putting A, then A will get stored in X variable. That's what I'm doing. Now, here what I'm going to do, I'm going to write an if statement and I'm going to say that if X is equal to, right, empty or in space, right, it should throw empty. Now understand what I'm doing here. If X is equal to empty, what does that mean? That means if this value is empty, then it should throw an exception of a message which is empty. So you're not writing document.write or any such kind of thing to print this statement which is empty. You're just throwing an exception. And I feel that this code can be an exception because I don't know, I'm not sure if this will work. I'm not sure if this will work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put here it as try, because I'm not sure whether this will work. So I'm just putting it inside a try. Okay. Similarly, what I can do, I can put up here another statement of if. Okay. So let's say I'm putting here it as x is less than 15. Okay. So if x is less than 15, throw. So let's say if I'm putting in the text box 9, so 9 is less than 15, it's gonna throw number is small. Okay. Again, I'm going to put up something else. So let's say if x is greater than 25, throw number is larger. Okay. The next, I can just say it as is. You know this, what is it? It's not a number. So if I'm using is not a number, I'm just using x. Here also I can write something. So I can write throw, and I can just write not a number. Is not a number means, suppose if you're putting your letters in the text box, obviously it's not a number, so it's gonna give not a number. Okay. Now I know that this is the try block which I have done, so I have to handle it. I will answer your question, Saurav. Just 1 second, let me complete this. I saw your message. So I need to handle it. So I'm using catch block to handle this, right? So I'm using catch block, catch ERR. That's ERR is an object to print the message. So I'm just going to put here message dot inner.html. Here I'm going to put the inserted value is ERR. Okay, cool. So what I've done here, I've basically handled the exception. What if suppose any exception is coming, I've just handled it so that a message can come in the message, this message, right? In this message, the inserted value is, what is the ERR? This is the ERR. This, you can see here, this orange color thing, right? This is the ERR message. I'm not writing here ERR.message in this manner, how I've written here, because there was no message that time. So what was happening here, that default message was getting printed, that add alert is not defined. This alert is not defined. That is what it was saying me, because it was using the default message. But here I am providing them the message. I'm saying that, hey, throw this, throw this, throw this one, or throw this one. So that's why I've not written here ERR.message, because I have the messages. So I'm just saying plus ERR. These are the ERR. These are the messages. Fine. So what I'm going to do here now is, sorry for that. I hope you can see my browser. So I'm going to save this. Let's say I'm putting here, I'm not putting anything here. I'm just putting, let's check. Okay. I've not kept anything here. So what is it saying? The inserted value number is small. Okay. There is some mistake. 1 second. Message should be a constant one. Let's check again. 1 second. If x is okay, why is it throwing numbers is small? If x is less than 15, if x is less than 15, okay. So basically the error was this space. I've given here a space. That space means null value. So that's why it was giving me number is small, because x less than 15 will cover up all the numbers below 15. So that is what is the problem. Here I've removed the space now. So now it's working fine. So if you can look here, right? So you can look here. Let's check. It's giving me the inserted value empty. If I put here a number which is 1, so it says number is small. If I put here 15, it says it is not saying anything, because the condition which I have written is not matching it with that. You can see here there's no double equal, there's no less than equal to, it's just less than, right? So there's no condition for 15 and 25. Let's come back. Let's write something else. Let's write 16. For that also we have not written any code, right? So that's why it is not giving me anything. Let's write a letter. Insert value is not a number. Okay. And let's write something else. So let's write 26. Value number is larger. Fine. So this is where you use throw, and this is how this try, catch and throw works. Fine. This is one of the most important example which I have shown you. So this is for throw. Now let's move ahead and let's learn what is finally. Okay. I think I've written throw somewhere. I think I erased it. Okay, let's come to finally. Now, before coming to finally, let's answer what Saurav is asking. If everything can be implemented by JS, then why people talk about React JS always? Saurav, everything cannot be implemented by JS. First of all, there are some topics and there are some things which cannot be implemented by JS. Okay. Now, why React JS? Because React JS is a framework which is designed by a JavaScript. Okay. And in that we have several components, several things. Sorry, it's a library, my mistake. So basically it is having some different components which can be used to make your web page much more feasible and much more interesting. Some of the examples can be router. Okay, routing. If you do not know what is routing, it's mostly like moving from one page to another. Okay, something like single page applications, right? If you do not know single page applications, these are also called as SPAs. So basically a YouTube is a very great example of single page application. Okay, because whenever you click something in YouTube, it does not reload the page. It just brings up the data from the server. So the page is not getting reloaded, right? The page will never get reloaded. If you talk about Gmail, right? Those are Amazon. If you talk about Amazon, Amazon is not a single page application. If you click anywhere in any link, the whole page has to reload. So that's not a single page application. So to create such kind of applications, different kind of applications, we use these libraries, which is created by JavaScript to make my website more enhanced, more user friendly. Okay. Something like that. If you create only using HTML, CSS and JavaScript, you can achieve that, but the code will be much more bigger because you are only using JavaScript. You're not using its built-in components. Okay. It's libraries, it's frameworks. So that is what is nothing but your difference between JavaScript and React JS. Okay. That's why people say the roadmap of web development is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React JS. After JS, React JS is important because it is having some of the libraries which is really very important. So finally keyword is basically such a keyword which executes every time. It does not depend on whether the code is throwing an error or it is not throwing an error. Finally will work every time. This finally code will get executed. Okay, so that is what is your finally. Now if I talk about any example, so let's have a look here itself, in this example itself. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to just print a finally block, right? And in this finally block, I'm just going to print here document dot get element by ID. Let's say where is the, okay, samp. So let's say I'm putting here samp. Okay, document dot get element by ID samp. I'm going to give here dot value and I'm going to put it as empty. Okay, so what I'm doing here, finally I said that this code will get executed whether this is throwing an error, whether this is working or not. This will throw an error, this will work, this finally will get work. What am I doing here? I'm basically making my text box as empty once you click that button, right? So let me go back to my browser, let me save this, And now if I write something, let's say if I'm writing 4, if I click on let's check, 4 is gone from here. 4 is gone from here. Earlier it was not happening so. When I was writing 4 and I was clicking on let's check, this message was coming, but still the 4 was here. But now the 4 is not here. Why? Because finally block is getting executed. Finally block is getting executed and it tells me that this is empty, right? So that is what is your finally block for you. Okay, so I hope you have understood this much. This is basically your in and out for exception errors, which is try, catch, throw, and finally. Okay, now, so now is the time that we come up to the end of the topic for this exception. Okay, the end of the topic for this is types of error. Now there are different types of error. We can just name it. So let me just write it here. So first of all, the first error is eval error. Now what is this eval error? This is basically an error which comes up when you are using eval function. If you do not know what is eval function, go ahead and watch my digital clock project. You must be then knowing what is an eval function. So suppose in evaluation function, you are writing an evaluation 5 plus 6. 5 plus 6 is a very normal evaluation. Anybody can evaluate it, and JavaScript also can do it. So it gives me 11. But suppose if you have written a very complex kind of evaluation expression in your eval function and it is throwing an error. So that is what is an eval error. Okay. The next is your range error. Okay. So range error is basically when you're putting up a number, a range of number, and you're moving out of the range. Okay. So something like you want to just print 0 to 5, but you're printing 6. So you're out of the range, right? So that is what is a range error. Reference error is basically the variable. Suppose you have not created or you have not declared the variable, but you still want or you're using the variable. That's what is an reference error. Okay. The next is syntax error. Now, again, understand in all of the types of error, you can see here that you are writing error, right? Because this is JavaScript. In JavaScript, again, I'm repeating, error and exceptions are same. But in Java, this is not the case. In Java, we have different kind of errors and we have different kinds of exceptions. Those are two separate things. Here, syntax error is basically the same error which I have told you earlier. If you're missing out a semicolon or double quote, single quote kind of things, those are nothing but your syntax error. Type error is mostly like same as syntax, but in here type, let's take an example. Let's say that you're printing double quote Ritwik. Okay, but by mistake, this double quote is not there. So this is a type error. Okay. One more example. Let's say that you want to type a number, but instead of number, you're writing a letter. That's also a type error. Okay. So next is URI error. Now this is not for you, okay, because this is basically an encode type error. So this you will learn later on when you'll go inside a company. This is not also important in perspective of interviews. Okay, nobody is gonna ask you this. Okay, so these are the different types of errors which we have seen. Now is the time that we move to a next topic, which is hoisting. Before that, please tell me if you have any doubts still here. I'm just going to keep my code here and let's have a look if anything else is left in explaining this. Okay, cool. So I hope you got this. Okay, there's one question sort of, and where jQuery comes in. jQuery is basically a very small topic, okay? And this comes in when you connect with a backend, right? When you connect with backend, you have JSON format and you are passing you're passing data from front end to back end, right? That's where jQuery, JSON, these all things comes in, because once you're passing your data from front end to back end, both those two are different languages, and that's why both cannot understand each other. So we use some of the extra things like Ajax, jQuery, JSON to make it possible. That's where we use jQuery, but it's a very small topic. That's why it is not, uh, you can see that nobody is telling its name, right? Like React just is so famous, JavaScript is so famous, jQuery is not that famous because it's a very small topic. It just covers some of the things, and then it does just some 2 to 3 works. That's it. Okay, any questions now? Let's move ahead. If not, so now what we are going to do is we are going to learn about hosting. Okay, and hosting is a very favorite topic of all the interviewers. So you must be a very you know strict about it, because if you're going for a interview on JavaScript, remember that about hosting people will ask you. Okay, asynchronous function, lexical scope, these are some of the topics which an interviewer will ask you if you're going for a JavaScript interview. So what is this hosting? How does this work? Let's understand. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to okay, so let me create one more folder. Going to just write here hosting and strict mode. Okay, and here I'm going to make a file. So let's say index.html, and I'm going to also create one more file. I'm going to name it script.js because I just want to show you the JS program itself here and not inside index.html. So that's why I've created an external JavaScript, and here I'm just going to write understanding hosting and strict mode. Right, so understanding hosting and strict mode. Here in the body I'm just going to write a script tag in which I'm just going to put up src equal to script.js. Okay, so all the JavaScript code of this will be in my script.js. That's where we are going to write the code. Now, to understand hosting, we need to first understand one basic example. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just take a variable. So let's say x itself, and I'm just going to print. I'm just going to print here 8. Okay, and I'm just going to write a function also. So let's say I'm writing a function fetch name. Okay, I have seen the comment, so don't worry, I'm going to take that. Right now let's understand once what is hosting, and then I'm going to take the comments. Okay, so because hosting is very important, guys, this particular session, if you're not understanding, then interviewers no, you are not late to understand because I've just started with another topic. Earlier I was explaining errors and exception, so let's understand this one clearly. Okay, so I have just declared and initialized one variable, and I have just declared one particular function here in which I'm writing console.log, and I'm just printing here hello everyone. This is what I'm just printing. Okay, now console.log is done, so it's gonna print me hello everyone in my console. That's what I know about it, right? And if suppose what I'm going to do here is, obviously it's not gonna print me as soon as I call it, right? So let's say if I'm just writing fetch name, that's how you call the function, then only it will go there console.log and it's gonna print it, correct? So what I'm going to do here is, here I'm going to write console.log x. So what do you think what's going to happen? We all know what's going to happen, right? So what I'm going to do here is, let me open my browser. Let me show you my browser. Let me open this with my live server. 1 second. Where is my HTML? I hope you can see this. Okay. Now let's go to inspect. Let's go to console, and you can see like what we thought. The answer should be hello everyone and 8, because that's what it's printing me, right? That is what I am actually printing. I'm telling it to print, correct? Why did I close that? Okay, cool. So that's what I'm doing. But let's understand this problem. Let's say that, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it above this. Okay. And I'm just commenting this. I'm just commenting it. Okay. So what I have done, uh, earlier I was calling the function from below, uh, after the function declaration, but now I'm calling the function before function declaration. That's what I'm doing. And I think you guys know what will happen, right? I don't know if you guys know it will work or not, because I don't know if you have learned C or C++ or Java earlier or not. But let's have a look what happens. So if I go ahead and if I show you my browser, it is working. It is saying hello everyone, right? Now this is very strange, and still for me it is not strange because it does make sense, right? Why it is making sense? See, the thing which is happening here is I have written a function and I've just called it. No matter what, from where I call it, function can work, because function's main definition is that it shortens the code. Whenever you want something to be done twice, thrice, or multiple times, you can write function. That's why you create function. It doesn't matter where you call it from, correct? That's what is the explanation for this, right? Still, you must be having some doubt because line by line execution is not happening. If suppose my debugger is here, then how it's gonna know where is fetch name? Because fetch name is not is written here. Debugger was here, right? Then how come it is knowing that fetch name is somewhere there, correct? So don't worry about that question also, I'll cover it up. But let's have a look what's gonna happen if I write this statement above. Okay, let's say I'm putting it here. One second. Okay, let's say I'm putting it here. Okay, let's see what happens. So let's go back to my browser. Let's save this. Okay, now this is a little bit crazy because you can see here it is giving me hello everyone, but then it is giving undefined. What is undefined? Why is it telling me undefined? And how is it giving me undefined? Because the fact which I know that var x is equal to 8 is getting declared also and initialized also in the fourth line, and I am printing that x value in the second line. How come it's get to know that when x is declared and initialized? How is it allowed to give undefined here? How JavaScript got to know that there is something called as x? Let's say if I'm writing here console.log y is nowhere in the code, not even after writing or printing it, right? So let's say what happens here. If I go back, now you can see it's giving me error. So y is giving me an error. Y is saying y is not defined, but x is saying it is undefined. What is the difference between undefined and y is not defined? There must be some difference, right? There must be some difference between these two, undefined and not defined. There is one difference. Okay, so let me tell you. Now basically there is a lot of things which is happening. So let me go to sources. Now if you look at here in sources, what is this? This is basically an area where you can actually open the code, right? And you can check out the debug things, how and in which line what is happening. So what I'm going to do here is, it is saying me Control+P open file. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to Control P. It is taking me to this, and let's search my file, which is script.js. I think it's here. I'm just going to open it. This is my code, right? You can see it's giving me an error. Why? We know that because it is y is not declared. That's why it is giving me an error, right? And you can see here there is a lot of things which is here, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put up a debug here. You can see this is how you put up. So this is basically a development tool. If you do not know, this inspect thing is basically a development tool. When you put this here and you run the code, so let's say I'm coming back to my Visual Studio Code, I'm saving it, I'm running it, right? So you can see it is saying paused in debugger. It's basically running the code. And you can see here that there's a global scope coming in. What are these things? What is happening? Now, let me introduce you to the deep facts about JavaScript. So basically what is happening is, when I'm running a code, inside the code, several things are happening, which can be seen here. Now, what is happening? You can see the debugger is here. And in the beginning, whenever the debugger is there in the first line of the JavaScript, what happens? JavaScript tells us about all the variables and functions which it has been used. Everything it will tell me. So if I open this global, you can see that there are a lot of things which is written here, right? And if you look here closely, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but just you can make your settings in your video and you'll be able to find. You can see here X is given as undefined. See, the code has not been able to reach here. Still, it is knowing about the fact that X is used and X is not given a value which is undefined. Y is never used in my code, so Y is not there. Can you see? Y is not even there. That's why Y is giving me an error, but X is giving me undefined. If you have not understood, no worries. I'll come back to this. Okay. I'll come back to this. I'll just remove these things. Okay. Let's come back to the code. Okay, let's do something. So I know that this is not gonna work, so I'm gonna remove it. Okay. Now what I'm going to write, let's say I'm writing here console.log. Okay, and I'm just going to write here fetch name. Now understand, if I write fetch name, which is calling, can you see what I'm doing? I'm calling it, correct? If I save this, what's gonna happen? So let's go back. Have a look. Fetch name is called here. Fetch name is called here. Okay. Do not get confused. So if I go back, you can see here, hello everyone, undefined. Okay. So this function is getting called. Let's come back. Suppose if I'm not calling this, I'm just writing fetch name. What is this fetch name? This fetch name is a function name. Do you think it's gonna print this whole thing? Because that is what is fetch name including, right? Fetch name is including this statement, this block of a statement, block scope, which we already say, right? So let's have a look what is happening. If I go back, if I save this, go to my inspect, go to console, and you can see here that that function is coming here, right? So that function is coming up here, right? Now, what is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is hoisting in JavaScript is something which says that all the declarations can be done before you are printing it. So all the declarations can be done before, okay? Or you can do all the declarations after, you can use it earlier. You can use, or that means you can execute the code earlier. That's what I'm doing here. I'm using these all things earlier and I'm declaring it later on. So hoisting is achieved in this manner and it is only happening to the declarations. If you can see, this is a function declaration. If you can see, this is a function declaration, right? So hoisting says that you can use your variables, you can use your functions before it is getting declared. Okay, declaration can be done afterwards. That is what is hoisting in JavaScript. Okay, but again, I'm saying this, but do not use this in a normal code. Okay, you can use it somewhere when some bigger programs are there. Normally, when you are learning something, do not do this. Okay, it's not a good way to write a code. The good way of writing a code is to put it at the last, because in that way you will also understand what is happening, and in that way the other person whom you will send the code will not get confused about it, right? So hoisting is what is writing the or using the programs or the codes, executing it earlier or before declaring that thing, the variables and the functions. Let's now understand how is it happening. Okay, so let's come back to the browser. I'm going to the sources. I'm going to change the program. 1 second. Let's change the program. So what I'm going to do here now, I'm removing this. I'm putting up it here. Let's save this. Let's go back. Let's go back to the browser. Let's come to the sources. Here is the code. Going to put up a debugger here, right? It'll, once I will run this particular code, it will start creating the global scope values. So I'm just going to save it. You can see here it start running. You have the global. Let's find out what all things it is creating. Obviously X will be created, right? So let's search for it. You can see here X is undefined. So in the starting, my variable is there. JavaScript knows about it. JavaScript is creating a memory of it and it is placing undefined value to it. Okay. The next is what? The fetch name function. So let's find the fetch name function, because if I'm saying that in the starting everything is getting declared, that means fetch name should also be there. So let's see. You can see here fetch name, right? So this function is also there, and you can see here that it is not undefined. It is there. The function is there because JavaScript knows that the function is there. It is fetch name. What happens if I change the code and I just do some changes here? Let's say, this fetch name is not there itself. This function is not there itself. I'm going to save this. Going to go back to the code. Let's go to sources. Let's put up a debugger. Let's save the file again. Let's open the global. Let's find the fetch name. Can you see the fetch name? Okay. The fetch name is not here. Okay. The fetch name function is itself not here. Right? So now that function is itself not there. I don't know what I'm calling, right? So that is what is the difference. So you have to just understand that whenever a first code is executed in JavaScript, JavaScript creates its memory, all the variables and functions memory, and stores undefined values to it. Okay. And that's why hoisting is working like that. Let's see some other examples also. So if I come back to the code, let's have a look in some other examples. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just write function, right? And 1 second, let me stop the debugger and all. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this up here. Okay. So I have fetch name, I have console.logx, I have console.log fetch name. Then again, I have all those things, these things. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use arrow function. Now, if you do not know what is arrow function, don't worry. There are classes coming up. Maybe I think day after tomorrow, where I'm going to explain you what is arrow function. So here I'm just going to give a sample, a basic idea of what is an arrow function. So basically an arrow function is a function itself, but working like a variable. So let me tell you what is it. So basically what you do here is you create a variable, right? And you put up the function symbol, which is the parenthesis, and then you give an arrow here. So what are you trying to say here is that I'm not directly using a function. I am creating a variable and I'm making it as a function. So it's like a cloning. Okay. So you are not creating a function basically here. You are just creating a variable and you are telling that this variable will work like a function. That's what you are saying here. That is what is an arrow function. Okay. Now this arrow function, let's see whether this is working or not. Let's do something. 1 second. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this here. Let me comment this, or first of all, let me write it. Okay, this is what is the arrow function. I'm going to comment this, right? And I'm going to save it. I'm going to go back to my browser. Let me show you the browser. So have a look, what is it printing? Hello everyone, because the function is working. Then undefined value because X is there, and then fetch name, right? this is what is getting printed right now when I'm using fetch name as a function. If you look here, fetch name as a function, right? Also, I told you there is a difference between not defined and undefined. You must have understood that. Undefined is something when you're using the value, but you're using the value, but declaration and all is later on. You're first printing it. So it gives you undefined because variable is declared. It's there in the global scope, but the value which is assigned from the JavaScript part is undefined, right? So variable is correct, X is there, but it has not been assigned a value till now. It is having an undefined value. That is what is undefined. What is not defined? Not defined is something which I told you about when I used Y, because Y was not even declared, not even initialized anywhere, and still I was printing Y. So that is what is saying Y is not defined. Cool. That is what is the difference between undefined and not defined. If anybody asks you, that's what you have to say. Now have a look. I think you might have understood what is the output here right now. So let's have a look what happens if we put up an arrow function. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to comment this part and I'm going to uncomment this, right? So again, fetch name is the same name, right? It's just that I've created as an arrow function. Let's save this. Let's have a look what is happening. If I go back, it gives me an error. Why is it giving me an error? Why is it throwing me an error? Why is it not a function? Why is it saying me it is not a function? Why is it happening so? The answer is clearly given here. I have told you hoisting works in declarations, not in assignments. Okay. So declarations is basically for a variable or functions. But here the arrow function is not a function. This is working like a variable, right? And you are printing here fetch name. And this is basically calling the fetch name function. So this is what is declaration and assignment here. So if you're assigning here, this is not gonna work. You're assigning here, right? This is not a proper function, right? You are assigning a variable to behave as a function, right? So that's where hosting will not work. Hosting is not gonna work in these situations. So remember that hosting works only in declaring. See, I'm declaring here. Okay, it is declaration on variable or on function. Declaration on variable or on function, not on variables which is acting like a function. Cool. So that is why this will not work here, because in arrow function, variables act as a function which is getting assigned. This is not gonna get me the hosting situation. Let's have a look what is happening in the backend. So if I go to sources, if I click here as a debugger and I just save this, let's go to global and let's have a look if fetch name is getting created. You can see fetch name is getting created, but right now it is giving me undefined. It is not giving me the F, this kind of F, the orange color F function. It is just saying undefined because there is no function named as fetch name. This is not a function. This is an arrow function. This is a variable which is turning out to be a function. That's why this value is undefined. Cool. That's why in the console I am getting error. Okay. Similarly, one more example we will see. So what we will see is we have seen arrow function. Now what we are going to see, let's say that I am creating here a function and I'm just going to put up here required name, something like this. And this is a normal function. Okay, this is a normal function which I've created. And here what I'm going to do, I'm not going to call it anywhere. Okay, I'm not going to call this anywhere. I'm just going to save it. I know in the browser nothing will change, right? It will still give me the error because I'm calling the arrow function. Let's have a look. It is still giving me the error, but I want to see what is happening in the backend. So if I run this, if I open this, whether I am getting required name or not. So if you look here, fetch name is there, which is undefined. And if you look here for the required name, You can see here required name. So it is behaving as a function. It is not having any content inside it, but you have created a function. And in the first line itself, JavaScript got to know that it is a function. That is what is the difference. Okay. That is how you actually get to know when it is working, when it is not working. Let's do something else. Let's try to understand in a better way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create one more example of arrow function, but this time we are not going to write an arrow function. We are going to do something else, which you already know. I've already told you that you can put up an anonymous function. If you remember what is anonymous function, we do not have a name to that function, right? So let's say that I'm putting up here fetch name 2, and this I'm just going to create a function, right? Something like this. Now understand, this is not an arrow function. I'm not using any arrow here. This is not a arrow function. This is basically a anonymous function in which this variable is there. Again, you are doing assignment. You are not writing a pure function, right? You are writing a anonymous function, correct? So again, hoisting is not gonna happen here. Okay. Suppose if I write here fetch name and fetch name 2 also, right? Let's save this. Let's go back to my browser. Let's have a look what is happening. If I go ahead, it says fetch name is not a function. Fetch name 2 will also not work. Let me show you. Right now is it saying fetch name because I've used here fetch name. In the beginning, the first line will execute, right? So let's have a look. Fetch name 2 is not a function. Okay. Why? Let's have a look. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to save this. It is running. Let's go ahead to the F area, which is this one. Fetch name undefined, fetch name 2 undefined. Both are undefined. Why is it undefined? Because JavaScript is understanding that, okay, user has used 2 names, 2 variables, but that is not a function. It is working as a variable. And to that variable, it is giving me undefined. See, for X also, it is giving me undefined because that is also a variable. So for X also, it is giving me undefined. Till the time it's gonna come here, till the debugger is gonna come here, it will be undefined. Once the debugger comes here, this undefined will change to 8. That's how memory storage happens, right? That's how you store the values in a memory. Okay, cool. So we learned that hoisting cannot work in the cases where you are assigning values or where you are using an initialization or assignment. Hoisting works in the declaration area for declarations, for variable declaration, function declaration, not in other cases. Okay, so that was all about this part. Okay, now let me ask some questions, and this is basically a assignment. Okay, so let's understand whether you can answer this or not. So I'm just going to comment this. Okay, and here I'm just going to write some statements, and you need to tell me. You can put it up in the chat also that whether this particular thing will work or not work. Okay, I'm just going to put up all these in a bracket. So here I'll be writing 2 codes, okay, and both the codes you need to tell me whether it is working, whether it will give me an output or not. If it will give me an output, which output it will give me. Okay, so I'm just going to write here function, right, and I'm just writing here assignment. Cool. Now this one I'm just going to print here console.log, and I'm going to print here X, right, and here I'm going to have the X, and I'm just going to write here Ritwik Raj. Okay, 1 second. And now I'm going to call this. So let's say I'm just calling it up here assignment this much. Okay, now the other codes are nothing is written here. Now I'm just going to save it, and you need to tell me what should be the output. So till the time I'm not getting any live chat, I'm not going to speak anything. So please let me know in the live chat what will be the output of this. What's gonna be the output for this? Okay, everybody, whoever is watching, just let me know what will be the output for this. Understand, take some time and understand what I have explained you, what I've taught you. hoisting is happening, in which cases hoisting is happening, in not in which cases. Just let me know about that. One answer I've got, which is undefined. Fine. Let's see whether it is correct or not. Thanks, Karthik, for the reply. Anybody else, please let me know. So what is happening? Function assignment. I have console.logx where x equal to Ritwik Raj. So this is basically declared and initialized later on. But before that, I'm printing it. And assignment function is called at below. Okay, so it is undefined. Let's check out. Let's move ahead to our browser. Okay, I have not stopped this. Once again. Yep, once again. Let's save this. Yes, you are correct. Why it is undefined? Because obviously your X is there in the code, and once you go to the sources and you run it again in the glob, you will be able to find that particular variable declared in the global scope. So that's why the first value which is given to each and every variable which is declared is undefined. That's why it's giving me undefined. Let's ask one more different question. I'm going to comment this. Let's write one more question. So I am calling up the function at the beginning, and here I'm just going to write where assignment equal to function and document.write not Ritwik Raj. Okay, so this is the program. This I'm just saving it. Let me just tell me what will happen here. So today I was doing your table layout project, but sir, part 1 is missing from your playlist. Can you help, sir? Vivek Kumar Gupta, if you're still there, do not do the part 2 table based layout. Okay, I know that L36, I guess L36 is not there, so don't go ahead and do L37 because that is the continuation. After some days that video will be back. Once it will be back in the live session, in my live session, I'll again update you about it that it is back. So right now don't do that table based layout project because only one session is there in that. So yeah, that's it. Bhaiya, I have little knowledge of Angular and React. Both I'm trying to develop my front end. Which framework is better in your opinion? React is popular. React is in demand. Most of the companies are looking out for React JS developers. Even if you know Angular, it's not gonna be of it's gonna be of your use. It's not that it's not gonna be of use, but demand is more of a React. So you know wherever there is a demand, you need to learn that language, right? So yeah, React will be the one. If you know Angular, it's really good. You can create some projects on that as well. It will help you in future. Okay, this will also give undefined. Why? The reason being, it is basically, one second. So the thing here is that I have not printed console.log, right? So here I have written document.write, and when you write document.write, you will not get any output. This was a little bit tricky one. So undefined is not the output. Yes, in console.log it will be undefined, but while printing, JavaScript does not print undefined, right? Because you don't have any value. Undefined is not a value, so it does not print it. This is not actually running. If you do console.log, it's gonna give me undefined. Fine. So that is what is all about your hoisting. I hope you have understood that. And now is the time that we move to our next next topic, which is strict mode. Now strict mode is really very simple topic, so no need of putting your efforts in that. I'm just going to complete this session in next 10 to 15 minutes, just explaining what is strict mode. But before that, I think I have some questions here. I was having interview with Vasar Labs for backend engineer fresher. I have cleared it. Please tell, is this company good to join? PCM Love and Food. Basically, I have no idea about this company, but just give me one day of time. Maybe you can come up at 8 p.m. when I'm again coming live, right? Because right now I cannot research about it in front of you. So let me research about that particular company. Let me see how and what is the response, what is the review about it. And why not you also can do it? Go ahead in Glassdoor. There are so many websites where you can get a review about it. In LinkedIn also you can check out what is the response, what is the post which other people are doing for this particular company. You'll get an idea, right? You'll obviously get an idea, at least 50-60%. Whatever I will get, you will also get the same thing, right? So you can also do it, but don't worry. If you have asked me at 8 p.m. again, I'll come back. If you will be there, I will answer that question for you, right? So yep. Error as assignment is undefined at the time it is called as a function. Yes, correct. Okay, so let's understand what is a strict mode. Okay, now strict mode is basically a particular keyword which we use. Okay, so the keyword which we use here is basically use strict. Let me just write it down for you and just comment it. And how do we use it? So we just use here use strict. Okay, so use strict is the command which we use whenever you want to write the JavaScript code in a very uh, strict mode, right? Strict mode in the sense that there should be no error when you're writing a code, right? Not even one single error. So in those cases, we use this strict mode. If you're not using a strict mode, still your code will work, but you're not following certain rules of JavaScript. When you're using a strict mode, then you are following JavaScript rule. That's how it should be written. That's how you have to write it. Okay, that is what is use strict. So let's say if I am just putting up one code here. Let's say I'm putting up here it as x equal to 56, right? And I'm just going to print here console.log 56. Okay, let's go back to my browser. Let's save this. Let's open the inspect. Let's go to console. I am getting 56 here, right? Don't you think this is incorrect? Sir, a review is good, but I think it's a startup, so I'm confused. Again, you have to go deep down to that companies as it is a startup. You have to understand what is the funding, how many employees are there, how is this company growing, whether it is growing or not, right? Whether it is in a positive side or not, how much experience you will gain there working, right? Because the role which you are getting is a role which will be there for a career. So you need to think about that. Okay, joining a startup is not a bad idea. You can join any startup, it's not a bad idea, but which startup are you joining? That is the main point. Okay, so again, research about it. I'll also do it, but I'm just saying that do more research about it more deeply. Find how is it a good startup, is it the bad one or the average one? Find it. So coming back, okay, so I'm getting 56 here, but don't you think it is wrong? Why am I saying that it is wrong? Because you can see here, I have written x equal to 56 and I have told that JavaScript is a dynamically typed language. So this is not gonna have var keyword. Even if you're not writing var keyword or let or const, this is gonna get worked because JavaScript is a dynamically typed language. In dynamically typed language, variables get to know depending on the value, which data type is it having. So depending on the value of 56, my x variable knows that it is having a integer or a number data type. That's why it is not giving me any error. But if you use the strict mode, this is gonna give you an error. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just write here use strict. If I use here use strict, and if I go back to my code, if I save this, you can see here it is giving me an error. It is saying x is not defined, and this is what is the strict mode. So when you use strict, when you say that you are using use strict, you are saying that now JavaScript program, whatever I will write after that, it has to follow strict mode. Every single line should be written very clearly. Declarations se leke initializations, everything should be there. Okay, so that is what is the strict mode. Let me give you some more examples so that you can get to know more about it. So let's say what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just write here fetch num, and I'm just going to call this, right? This is what is the function which I'm using. I'm going to remove this from here as I don't want to use this right now. Later on, I am going to come back and we will use that. Here I'm just going to fetch name, and here I'm going to just write y equal to 456, and I'm going to print here console.log y. Okay, so you know what's gonna happen. See, I'm not printing x anywhere, I'm just printing y, right? And let's see what is happening here. So if I go back to my browser, if I save this, you can see here it is printing 456, right? Now even if I print here, let's say console.log x, let's see what is happening. So if I go back, still says 56. So x and y value, both values are getting printed here, right? Now let's have a look what's gonna happen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna come back here, going to remove this, going to put it up here, okay, and I'm going to save it. Have a look, it's 56 456. Let's come back, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to say here that use strict. Where am I saying use strict? I'm saying it inside function. So strict mode is only be applicable after this code, not on these codes. Okay, so it wherever you're putting the strict mode to get started, that's where it's gonna get started. Now in this case, x will get printed as it is, but y is gonna give me the error. Y will give me the error. Let's have a look. So x is printing 56, but y is giving me the error, correct? What happens if I go back and if I put this strict mode, not here, but here. So if I save this, I'm getting the first line itself, it has the error, which is my x. X is not defined. Cool. So this is how you use your strict mode, and you can use this anywhere in your code. This is just to bring up that you have to write the JavaScript code in a strict mode manner, not in a simple language manner. Okay, so this is what is the strict mode. Okay, and this is used for many purposes. You can find it easy to write, to write an easier and a secure JavaScript code, right? So in that case, we use this strict mode. So this is the end of this session. I hope you have understood what all things I have taught you in this session. We have covered errors, exceptions, and we have also covered hosting. We have covered strict mode. I hope you enjoyed this session. Please give me a thumbs up if you have understood this session. I'm going to wait for 5 minutes more. So please give me a thumbs up in the live session so that I get to know this session was really good. The students who are watching me from starting, if you guys are there, then please let me know if you've understood this topic so that I get to know that, okay, there's no confusion, you have understood this. Okay. I'm waiting for the responses. Please do join the Telegram channel so that you can get update about all the live sessions when it is coming, and also about all the links for Relevel and other stuffs, the projects code, all things you will get there. You can interact with the trainers as well. So please do join Telegram channel as well. Okay, and also please subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is CodeBeyond, so that I can come up with much more beautiful sessions. Today at 8 p.m. again, I'm going to come back on CSS, Media Query and Flexbox. We are going to learn again. Those two topics are really very important. Today we have covered a very most important topic on JavaScript, a very most important topic on CSS as well. So please come back at 8 p.m. I'll be waiting for you guys. And yep, if you guys have understood, please give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, I'll take a leave.